What are your thoughts when salesmen use the excuse of burnout?
Well, number one, burnout's not real. Okay, people lose their purpose, and I'll explain this. This is how winners operate. Okay, and this is how losers operate. So life is going to throw you a lot of hard things. It's going to throw you a lot of hardship. Life is always going to do that. But what happens is that when you're going through life and you forget why you're doing what you're doing, you think you're burned out. That's the problem. Like, you remember right now, and just I'm going to talk to you. Why did you start doing all this? Like, why? Well, you remember a long time ago, and so you start and you're doing all these things and you keep doing all this and you go through all these things, and life isn't fair and you're not getting ahead and you have troubles and hardships, and now you're fighting with your wife, and just as all these things are happening, and all of a sudden you're like, dude, like, the reason why you're burned out, the reason why you're struggling is because you forgot why you're doing all this. And if you just always remember why you're doing this every morning when you wake up, like, dude, you'll never have a problem. You'll never have a worry. And if it's a hard day, you'll be like, thank you. Like, I owe you. And at the end of that day, you'll have a euphoric moment because you remembered that what you're after, all the stuff you went through today and that great attitude you kept and why you pushed through that day, like, it was all worth it, because what you're after, your why, like why you're doing this, is like so worth it. And that's your purpose. And my purpose stays on my heart all the time. I mean, no bullcrap. Like, that's why life doesn't throw me off, because I never forget why I'm doing what I'm doing. But life is very good at making people forget why they started. Okay? Devil came to kill, steal, destroy. We're done.
Boom. Boom. All right, I want to just ask actually one last question. Would that be okay?
Yeah.
So we're at close of school and you invite your son up on stage.
Mm-hmm.
I'm nervous for him. I'm sitting in the front there, all access, and I'm nervous. And you just, like, the crowd is full, it's packed, and you throw objection, boom, and he overcomes it.
Mm-hmm.
And you throw objection, boom, and he overcomes it. And you throw objection. I'm like, how do you do that? Like, how do you train him at such a young age? Or why is it important for you to do that?
Well, so one of the biggest things is that I think the greatest skill, or some of the greatest skills that I could give my son, is, number one, how to be an amazing speaker. I think it's super important that anything that my son knows that he's going to get, he's going to have to influence, persuade, paint pictures, tell stories. He's going to have to learn how to get his point across really quick, and he's going to have to be good at it. If I die early, I need to make sure that my son's good at speaking. It's important. Everybody's a speaker. You're a public speaker. Whether you're speaking to 1 or 10,000, you got to know how to speak. You got to believe in yourself. You got to be confident. I tell my son, I'm like, dude, listen. And so I hit my son with objections at home. I say, look, I know you're not selling anything hypothetically yet, but every day you're selling me whether I should believe in you or not. Okay? And I do believe in you and I love you, but every day, like, not everybody's your dad. Okay? So I tell my son, if you want to be a diamond, you got to go through pressure. Number one, diamonds go through pressure. Number two, you're going to mess up. That means you're going to have cuts. Every time you get a cut on you, you're going to get embarrassed, and people are going to laugh at you. And those cuts create the diamond to be worth more money. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Pressure, cuts, heat. After they go through the pressure, the more cuts a diamond has, the more it's worth. I said, you got to go through the cut, son. You got to go through the reps. Repetition's a mother skill. And then the heat. Now you got to be willing to take the heat. Okay? If you get up here and you mess up, own it. If you get up here and you crush it, own it. But everything will result by the practice that you did when nobody saw you.
Love it.
So my son, he'll practice on things in different industries and sales objections that I tell him, if you want to be a speaker, you need to memorize in advance things that you want to say. They're called word tracks. And that way, at the time you're saying them, you don't have to think about what to say when there's pressure against you. You know, they say in the military, when your back's against the wall, you always fall to your lowest level of skill. Your lowest level of skill when your back's against the wall. Well, I know when my back's against the wall, I know I need to know what I need to do. So I practice with them at home. It's fun. I tell them we don't practice until we're going to get it right. We practice until we can't get it wrong. And then when I put them up in front of people, even though there's people and they may be taking up his headspace,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because he's thinking about what do they say. My son knows that he never should worry about what anybody thinks about him. Okay? Like, he should never worry about it. You know, Brad always says allodoxophobia. I know you've heard him say it. It's the fear of what other people think about you.
We all have it sometimes.
Yeah, but you need to understand that it's just self-torture. It's self-sabotage. Like, that's Who cares? Most of these people aren't even thinking about you. They're thinking about what you think about them. Like, dude, it's all fake. It's all crap. It's all junk. Again, another great tool used by the devil to freaking destroy people.